Thermarest has updated their legendary sleeping pad, the X-Term Neo Air. But is it actually better or is it just different? In this video, we're covering both of these mattresses to see the pros and cons and the features side by side, to see what has actually improved and if it's worth for you to upgrade or not. Hi everyone, this is Andrea with Adventures and Dreams, and today I'm hoping to help you decide if you should upgrade the sleeping pad or not. I'll compare them side by side, all the features, the size and weight, how to inflate it, the R value, and everything in between. I do love both of them, but they do have their differences. Thermarest has made some big updates in their NXT series, including the size, thickness, weight, the R value and the valve design. Let's look at all of them in detail. All of the previous models were 2.5 inches thick, but the new one, the NXT, is now 3 inches thick, which means more comfort and warmth. That's especially needed on those cold winter nights. I'm a side sleeper and comfort is my second highest priority after warmth. The extra thickness allows me to keep the pad just a little bit more soft without losing any warmth. The sizes and weight have also changed quite a bit from the previous model to the new one, so let's dive into this. We will compare the mummy-shaped sleeping pads first. The size of the regular version is actually exactly the same, but the weight for the NXT is just slightly higher. That might be because it's thicker than the previous version. Thermarest also introduced a new size, the regular wide, which is only available for the NXT. The large version of the NXT is a bit wider than the previous version, but the weight is actually the same. Let's look at the Max version next, which is the one that I've had for many years now. There used to be a regular size in the older versions, which is the one that I have and I actually miss quite a bit. Of all of the Max pads that are out there, that one is actually the lightest, but now it's not available anymore. I bought the regular wide version, which was newly introduced with the NXT series. It's easy to see here that the regular old version is a lot more narrow than the regular wide new version. Looking at the large size, the old version is a bit more narrow than the new version, and not surprisingly, it's also a bit lighter than the new NXT. The packed size of the old version is also just a little bit smaller than the new one, but it's not really that big of a difference. The new one is on the left and the old one on the right, and if you want to know specific stats, I have them later on in my video. In the summer, the sleeping pad allows you to take a lighter quilt or sleeping bag, and in the winter it keeps you nice and warm. This is all thanks to the R value, and the higher the number, the warmer it is. My old version had the R value of 5.7, but then they briefly came out with one that was 7.2. This might have been due to COVID and the restrictions of the material during this hard time. Then we had 2 years with 6.9, followed by the 7.3 of the NXT. The coloration of the old one made it easy to see what the bottom is and what the top, but the new version doesn't actually have that and I have to look twice to make sure I have it turned the right way. Both have a very resistant 70D nylon on the bottom and a 30D nylon on the top. One of the greatest improvements is the valve system. Let's look at the new one first. You just open this one up until it clicks and then add the pump sack to it, which also kind of clicks in its place. It's a very secure connection. In 2019, Thermarest introduced a speed valve system. which I never tried myself, but just looking at the way it works, I'm not a big fan of it because you introduce moisture to your mattress and it could possibly lead to mildew in the end. The X-Term sleeping pads only had this for 1 year, and there were a couple of sleeping pads that kept it for another year or two, but they quickly went away with it and went back to the old system. So let's look at that next. You open up the valve until it feels kind of loose, and then you attach the pump sack to it. It had a silicone seal that was fairly easy to attach and worked pretty well. I had used it so many times over the years and it never gave me a problem, and it never tore or broke in any way. The light grey pump sack of the NXT is actually quite a bit bigger than the older one on the bottom here. Inflating the sleeping pad was pretty similar, but the NXT on the left kept the pump sack on the side of the sleeping pad, while the older version has it on the top, which kind of prevented the air from flowing in freely sometimes when you squeeze too hard. On the other hand, you didn't need any extra space in your tent when you inflated the old sleeping pad. When you inflate the NXT Max, it's a little bit more awkward because you need extra space on the side for your pump sack. It still works quite well though, even in a single person tent that's pretty narrow and pretty short. I didn't have a problem with it yet. The new wing lock valve really shines when you detach the pump sack. It's a one-way valve, which means that the air can't escape when you pull off the pump sack, and you take your sweet time while you close your valve. If you have one of the old version, you know the struggle of detaching the pump sack. I always use my thumb to close the valve to keep the air from escaping, and then I spin it with the pump sack still attached until it's completely closed. This is pretty awkward, especially after a long day of backpacking and hiking, and I can't tell you how many times I've done this and then the air escapes after all and I have to fill it up a bit again. So when you think that it's firm enough, you just pull off the pump sack and close the valve all the way, but it's not easy and oftentimes the air escapes again. This process is so much easier with the NXT, and it alone is worth the upgrade. But what about the crinkling noise? Has it gotten any better? I think it has actually, but it never really bothered me, not in the new version and not in the old one. Sometimes the sleeping pad is just a little bit too firm, and the old version actually made it pretty easy to adjust with the valve on the top there. It's just a little bit harder with the NXT because you have to reach around the corner to open up the wing lock valve, and then the other one as well before the air escapes. It's not a big deal though, but it was easier in the old version. Deflating is a breeze with both of them. For the old version, you just open up the one valve, and the new one, you open up the wing lock and the other valve. I use exactly the same process for both the old and the new version, to roll it up first to get some of the air out, unroll it again, and then fold it in thirds and roll it completely before I put it in a stuff sack. This is pretty easy and nothing has changed from the old version to the new version. If you already got some value out of this video, it would be amazing if you buy me a coffee with the link down below in the description and in the comments. This collection of stats makes it really easy for you to compare all of the sizes and versions. I received catalogs from all the previous years from the super friendly customer service from Cascade Design, so I could do my research and give you the most accurate information possible for this video. Thermarest made some great improvements with the new model, but there's still some things that I like more on the old one. If weight is one of your most important aspects, then the old version might still be better for you because in most cases it's lighter than the new one. The size is tough to judge, but I personally miss the regular version of the Max sleeping pad, but others might prefer the wide version of the NXT now. We also saw earlier that it was a little bit easier to deflate the sleeping pad slightly if it was too firm. The NXT has so many great improvements, so let's dive into those. My most favorite one is the valve system, which makes it so much easier to inflate and deflate the mattress without losing any air. The R value is also the highest it has ever been. This is especially important if you have one of the really old versions where it is only 5.7, then you will definitely notice a difference in really cold winter nights when the mattress is much warmer. Although both sleeping pads are super comfortable, the new one is a bit more thick and that makes it just that much more comfortable, especially if you don't want to inflate it all the way. The NXT also has slightly less crinkling noise than the old version did. And I'm also adding size to the NXT because, like I mentioned before, it kind of goes both ways, and if you prefer a wider model, then you have a few more options with the NXT than you do with the older version. I've taken both of these sleeping pads on so many adventures, both in the winter and in the summer, and I wouldn't want to be without them anymore. Now that I've upgraded to the NXT, I wouldn't want to go back to the old version because I'm so spoiled with the wing lock valve and how easy it is to inflate and deflate. But you can make up your own mind, look at the stats, and see what's important to you. The weight, the size, the warmth, everything matters. And I'm sure it's only a matter of time before an even better version is on the market. That's it for this video, my friends. But if you would like to see the review for each of them individually, I have them on my channel as well, and I'll link them down below in the description, and you can just click the next video too. Take care, my friends, and I'll see you on my next trip or in my next gear video.